Alright, so good morning, and yeah, got some new shoes in the house again. This is the Adidas Supernova Rise 3 here, so the latest version of Adidas' new generation of daily trainers. And yeah, right off the bat, I do have to say that this shoe is not actually released yet, so I don't have too many specs on this one. And yeah, this just sort of randomly showed up on a German website a couple of days ago, and it got deleted right afterwards, but I did actually manage to order one. And yeah, here it is, so let's see how this runs. So yeah, this shoe definitely still has that Supernova Rise DNA, where you feel like you get a fairly basic daily trainer, like not a whole lot of rocker in this, nothing too crazy. But compare this to Brooks Ghost, say, and I actually had the Ghost 17. I didn't bother making a video on it because I figured nobody would watch that. And well, the shoe, it was comfortable, I guess, but otherwise just, yeah, pretty terrible, to be honest, just totally lifeless. And with this one, you basically just get a foam upgrade here. You get a foam that, I mean, it's not like crazy bouncy, squishy, soft or anything like that, but just feels that bit nicer underfoot, just a little bit more responsive and a bit more kind of compliant to the way you run. It's not this kind of brick-like sensation like the Ghost has. So I do think this offers something, yeah, quite compelling actually, comparing this to the other daily trainers we have out there. So yeah, let's have a closer look at the Supernova Rise 3 here, and I'm not gonna talk too much about this upper. I think this is a fairly standard affair for a daily trainer. Pretty rigid heel counter back here, fairly padded back there as well. Not too much padding in the tongue, but it does have some cushion where you need it, where you tie up the laces. And otherwise, well, it is actually a relatively accommodating fit, which is quite surprising for an Adidas shoe, though sometimes I do feel like Adidas and Adizero are two entirely different brands, but yeah, I guess that's a different topic. Now with the V3 here, the most interesting feature, or the most interesting change from the V2, is that this is now a full Dreamstrike Plus foam midsole, where the V2 had a stabilizing layer of EVA underneath the foam, and that is now gone. And yeah, also just looking at the outsole here, well, it looks fairly standard, but there is actually some writing here. You probably can't see it, but it does say light traction, which is, well, once again, I don't have the specs on this shoe, but this is probably, I would say, the same material that we have in the Pro 4 and the Adios 9, which is, yeah, a pretty amazing outsole, I have to say. It is, yeah, kind of soft to the touch, but it really has some bite to it. And going by the Pro 4 and the Adios 9, it is very durable. And yeah, Adidas has actually lowered the weight on this one. This has gone down from 240 something grams to 232 in my size EU 39 and 1/3, or a UK 6. And yeah, I mean, that's not a huge weight drop, but lighter is always better.
Voie 2, entrée en gare du train vers Luxembourg.
Yeah, it's interesting how the ride of this has changed, because you'd think that by removing the EVA layer underneath the Peba, that this midsole would now be really soft and even more flexible, but it's not actually the case. Actually, I would say that this V3 here has gotten stiffer. You don't really feel much of a toe off in this, or at least it's not as pronounced as in the V2. Yeah, I think what happened here essentially is that I think Adidas, by removing the EVA layer, they felt like the shoe might have become a bit too squishy and unstable, so they made the Dreamstrike Plus here just a tad bit firmer. And also, yeah, they did definitely raise the stack height. Once again, I don't know the exact stack height as the shoe is not released yet, but it has gotten a few millimeters taller, and that has definitely changed the ride a bit. It's just, yeah, this kind of flex in the forefoot that we had, this kind of a toe off feeling that, you know, a lot of shoes don't really have anymore nowadays with the tall stack heights. That has kind of been toned down a bit, and in a way, yeah, this is still a good option, but I do think this shoe has kind of lost its identity a bit. Yeah, I think what you always have to keep in mind with this one is this is basically the entry-level model from Adidas. This is the kind of shoe you'll see in retail stores, and it's not really an influencer hype shoe. This is your base model basically. So the daily trainer, do your easy runs in it. If you do want to run a bit quicker, then it's not too heavy, and just this kind of all-round workhorse shoe that's very durable, very comfortable. It's not really meant to be a spectacular shoe, so in a way you do have to maybe lower your expectations just a bit for this one and don't expect too much. But yeah, I think in that case you'll probably be pleasantly surprised by the foam in this one and how nice this actually does feel on foot. In this shoe, I think will really work for almost anyone, because nowadays a lot of people seem to think that you need at least 40 millimeters to even run in a shoe. And okay, this, I don't know how tall this is, but it's not quite 40 millimeters for sure. But I think honestly this is definitely more than enough foam underfoot for pretty much any type of run really. And okay, looking back at something like a Nike Pegasus, maybe is a bit thin in the forefoot. This is not like that. This definitely has a nice platform underfoot and also feels very stable. I feel like very comfortable as well. And yeah, just once again a shoe, I think this is going to be quite universal, and put this on in a retail store and I think chances are high that it's going to work for you. So as much as I do really like this shoe, there is a bit of an elephant in the room with this one. Or, well, it's not an elephant, it's the Puma Velocity Nitro 4, which in 2025, I have to say, for me, hands down, is my favorite daily trainer. And this one, I mean, the Puma is just a lot lighter and a lot more kind of responsive, but still, I don't think it's objectively better, as I do think this one is just basically more stable with a firmer foam, a bit wider base, a bit more structure in the upper. And I do think this is going to be the better option for some people, and you do have to consider that this is a full Peba midsole, and even though it is a bit sort of toned down version of Peba, I really think compare this to a lot of the other daily trainers. I mentioned the Brooks Ghost, but it also applies to Nike Pegasus or Asics Cumulus, Saucony Ride, stuff like that. Those shoes really are quite boring, to be honest. This is also boring, but this is boring in a way where it's basically just very unobtrusive. It doesn't really feel like a shoe that has anything that bothers you, but it does kind of work with you. You have a bit of response in the foam, so if you do want to do some strides or something, do feel like there's something in this midsole. But once again, nothing that feels like it intrudes on your basic easy run. This does kind of move into the background and just does its job, as it were. So yeah, I think that's it here on the Adidas Supernova Rise 3, and yeah, I think this is definitely a good shoe. I am really enjoying this as a basic daily trainer. I do think this offers something slightly different compared to the competition, just from the foam in the midsole here. But yeah, compare this to the V1 and 2, I'm not 100% sure that this is really better or improved. I think this is just slightly different. But yeah, anyway, definitely a very solid option, and once this has released, I do recommend checking this out, and hope you found this entertaining and hope you appreciate me filming this in -5 degrees, and like and subscribe as always, and see you soon.